Good evening, everyone. He's Trayvon Miles. He's Jeff Harris. I'm Haley Milon. This Delmarva Sports Insider.
That's right. The only show with complete coverage of sports across Delmarva. Guys, big week here on the shore.
Yes, indeed.
And here's what we have coming up in tonight's show.
Yeah, on deck tonight, it's playoff time, guys. How about it? Cesar Rogers girls soccer face Indian River, looking for their third straight Henlopen title.
1, 2, 3, and how about this? Going on the road and winning a game. Not going to happen for this team. How about a walk-off bunt to end it in Ridgely? You got to check out these highlights.
Nice.
And both the Salisbury men's and women's lacrosse teams continued tournament play this week, seeking a spot in next weekend's championship matches. Updates on both programs in just a bit.
All right, guys, let's get it going with baseball. Going to start on the diamond, but before we get to those Bayside playoffs, let's go to the first stage, shall we? Cape Henlopen baseball looked for a win on senior day against for the 7 guys who are graduating for the Vikings. They face Apo. This team, good.
Yeah.
They won the state title 2 seasons ago, and this team has strong pitching. You'll see why. This one was a rubber match early. Here's Cape's David Erickson getting the strikeout there. The very next inning
Very
is
good player.
Apo's Ryan Steckline. He
Another
gets
good
his
player.
man swinging. That guy, Trey, you remember, he won the
very
game
good player.
in the state final as a sophomore. Cape up 1-0. Not so fast, though. Apo ties it up. Jared Wellglars doubles to right field. Come on in, Brendan Maurer, 1-1. Cape up 2-1 now. The Vikings add to their lead with this RBI single by Parker Savage. That scores Zachary Dale from third base. And finishing things off on the mound is Erickson with the K. He pitched a complete game as Cape takes it. With the final score of 3-1, they move to 11-7 on the season.
Big
Guys,
win.
that's absolutely impressive. 3 runs against that kid's stack line. He's a senior now. He's an absolute stud to be able to pitch like that in the state title game. And to only limit Apo to a single run, that's something. Now, granted, it's still the regular season that we're talking about, but nonetheless, you want to finish off the season with double-digit wins, so 11-7.
Like Steckline, going to Monmouth next year. Very good player. As I said, he won the state title for his team a couple years ago as a sophomore. So for Cape to be able to get a win against an Apo team going into the state playoffs, very big momentum shift for those guys, especially with the season that they had that they didn't really want to have.
But a bummer for Steckline. He was probably expecting way more his senior season.
And he also pitching a complete game. We saw Erickson for Cape noted that he pitched a complete game. Steckline unfortunately gave up 3 runs, but he also pitched a complete game or a near complete game in this one as well for Apo.
Yeah, but in Maryland we had some action this week.
We did, and Queen Anne's, that was the action. Also on the road this week, they were taking on Parkside Tuesday afternoon. We're going to pick things up top of the second. Nice and sunny day. Darren Rosebrock able to score after a wild pitch gets past Parkside catcher Andrew Smith. Queen Anne's able to extend their lead to 2 on the pitching error. Things kept rolling, though, for Queen Anne's in this one as Luke Weddle, he's going to drop a single into center, shallow center, bringing around Chase Porter. Score that in RBI for Weddle, extending Queen Anne's lead big 5-1. And then we're going to move to the top of the 5th now with Porter on first base. Hard hit grounder to third. That's actually going to bounce off the third baseman's glove. Porter able to advance over to second base and keeping it in the same inning. A shot to shallow right field. We're going to see it. It's going to bring in another runner. Queen Anne's is going to take this one.
Dirty.
They hang on 7-3.
Parkside.
And
at home.
At home. And we've seen a lot of Queen Anne's this year. But they're kind of a surprising team. I wanted to hear your guys' thoughts. You know, this is the second win now that they've had against Parkside this year, a dominant team around the area, along with beating some other teams like Easton. So thoughts on Queen Anne's this year?
I really feel like Queen Anne's is a sleeper. Every single year, they don't do too much. They never win the Bayside North. Easton always wins the Bayside North, and they come around playoff time. They knock out Easton. They come to Salisbury and knock out a really good Parkside team. And then they end up in the regional championship, right?
Now, on the other side of the coin, though, guys, we got to play devil's advocate here. Parkside has been just this powerhouse, at least around Salisbury. But I feel like with Y-High during basketball season, like a couple teams just get – I don't want to say they get lucky, but they just have their number. And to be able to get a dub against Parkside pitching, that's something.
Got to get it done in playoff time. All right, like we said, Queen Anne's advanced to the regional championship game. They had a huge matchup on their hands, hosting Falston for a chance to play for the 2A state championship. Final four, Queen Anne's hosting Falston in this one, and Queen Anne's getting on the board first. Trey Pender gonna sting one to left field. Lions lead it 1-0, so it's looking good right there in Centerville. Wrong, because the pitching, unlike the hitting, did not help out early. But the Cougars, one of the best offensive teams in the division. Mason Mullaney hits to deep center field. Brady Logan scored. The Cougars would add on 8 more to that one.
Wow.
They would take a 9-3 lead. One more chance for the Lions. Noah Hagenston, nice play over there on third base. He's going to find Tim Lukens there. Final out of the game, and there it is. Falston wins over Queen Anne's 9-3. Queen Anne's season is over, and again, in another regional championship, evades Queen Anne's. It's almost like they put so much effort into beating Easton, who they had a hard time with this season, and then into Parkside, who they had to come to Salisbury and beat. It was a big emotional victory to get into that regional championship game and lose to a team like Falston, who I think they were very capable of beating, especially at home. That's what hurts the most, and another Final Four evades this team.
Well, one thing I've noticed around the Bayside, guys, with some of these big wins, I mean, tacking on 8 runs there in the middle of a game, if you can get to a pitcher, whether it's your starter who's going deep, he's going 6-7 innings, or if it's, your middle reliever, your long relievers, if you can get to that guy and start to get some hits, that's how you win these ball games in the Bayside. It's not early on, games aren't won
we'll see that in a second, right?
7, you just, exactly. We absolutely do. All right, guys, let's go to the 1A, shall we?
Yeah.
St. Michael's hosted Snow Hill yesterday.
We'll see a bunch of runs in this one.
The Saints, Trent Saunders hits the shot to deep center field. That drives in 2 runs. Matt Grogan and Noah Brock come on in to score 2-0. Later, it's Andrew Risher with a shot to deep right field. That allows Seth Parks to come on in and score yet another run. Then Nathan Howitt, he drops one right between 2 outfielders, finds a gap there. How about it? Yeah, that's absolute luck. Saunders and Andrew Risher run on home and score St. Michael's 8 runs in the second inning alone. To the 5th, Saints looking for the 10-run rule. The slaughter rule, the Saints lead 10-1. And Saunders with a deep shot. St. Michael's becomes your 1A East Region champions. They win 11-1.
Excuse me, how do you slaughter rule somebody in an East Regional championship?
Really?
I'm telling you, it's the momentum. It is like the 5th, we'll say 5th to the 6th inning. If you can piece together enough hits and just get your RBIs at like the bulk of your runs, like late in the games, that's how you win these ball games in the Bayside. It's crazy, but I gotta say, I would not want to be at the bottom of that dog pile. That was serious business.
Yeah, some serious business. St. Michael's state championship or bust for this year for these guys. I'm calling it right now.
All right,
and we saw them last week as well. They played at Shorebird Stadium facing Del Mar, a very good and improved Del Mar team this year, and they were able to kind of give them the business as well.
Yes.
So a team
very
definitely to look out for the next few weeks, but also around the area. We actually had a viewer calling in earlier this week to give us a quick update. It's going to see the score there. Holly Grove Christian able to come back. They fought back after falling behind 2-0 in the first inning, and they were able to top Delmarva Christian 6-5 in the EZAC finals. A notable standout in this one was Holly Grove's Andrew Workman. He had 2 doubles for Holly Grove in the victory.
Can't forget about the Christian schools, right, guys?
No.
That's right. All right. That's all we have for right now. Hitting our first commercial break. When we come back, we got some softball to get to you. Snow Hill won their first Bayside South softball crown since 1999, but would it translate over to the playoffs? Stick around to find out.
We are the Mardella Warriors baseball team, and you're watching the Delmarva Sports Insider.